Hello and welcome to Tar Heel Teachers on the Road. I'm Marlow Artis and I am in Whiteville for a special conversation with retiring Superintendent of Columbus County Schools, Dr. Deanne Meadows. Dr. Meadows, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me and coming and joining.
I'm so happy to be here, so happy to celebrate your illustrious career, 34 years of service to the public schools in North Carolina, 5 years as Superintendent of Columbus County Schools, so you're 2 weeks away from retirement.
That's correct.
So what's top of mind when you think about the fact that you are wrapping up your tenure with the district?
I think really just I'm excited everything that we've been able to accomplish in the last 5 years, but I'm also, looking forward to what's going to continue to grow and happen in this district. There's so much potential here, and I really just want the children in this district to have an opportunity to be successful in life and be able to make their dreams come true, whatever they might be.
Yes, and you all have really done a lot of work to move students in that direction. You should be very proud of the work that you all have done here in Columbus County. And we're going to talk about that. But I want to go back a little bit. Can you tell me about Deanne Rocco as a student?
So I actually grew up in Michigan on a farm, and I went to a one-room schoolhouse, kindergarten through 5th grade.
Wow.
And I went to a small rural high school eventually. I only had 200 students in my graduating class. But I loved school. And when I was a child, I actually had my own little classroom set up, and my stuffed animals were my students, and I loved to learn. And I have two older brothers, and I would take their work when they'd bring it home and erase their answers and redo it, because I just loved to learn. And so when I had the opportunity to go to school, go to college, I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be a teacher. And no matter what position I've had as an administrator or whatever, it's always been about teaching, whether it was teaching students or teaching adults. It's what I have really enjoyed doing. Being able to help others to grow and prosper is what satisfies me.
And it is very satisfying. You were a little Laura Ingalls, I guess.
I guess.
Preparing and helping, in your own classroom during that time. How did you kind of land on secondary mathematics? Because that's where you spent your classroom experience.
Yeah, so when I was in middle school, we didn't have high school math offered in our middle school, but I loved math and I was pretty good at it. And so I had a teacher who actually allowed me to do independent study in math in 7th and 8th grade. And so I started doing high school math when I was in middle school. And it was just something that I enjoyed. But I think probably because I just love to solve problems. I love to sit down and try to figure out what's happening, what's going on, and try to find solutions. And I think that's why I enjoyed math so much. And I think math also is a difficult subject for a lot of people to understand, especially if we try to just teach math in a way that's algorithm only. And I really want people to understand math, understand the concepts behind math. And so that's why I enjoyed it myself, but I also love to teach it.
Love to teach it. And you taught here in North Carolina.
I did.
How did you make your way to North Carolina? Because you started your career in Pender County.
Yep. I started in New Hanover.
And then went to Pender.
Yep.
Okay.
So I was, my best friend from high school actually lived here right after high school. And so I came down and visited. I went to the University of Kentucky to school, and so I applied in Michigan and Kentucky and here. And this was the first place I was offered a job, at Laney High School. And so I said, why not? I'm fresh out of college. I don't have any real ties anywhere. And I had somebody that I knew here. So I took the job, and that's where I started.
Wow, 34 years later, you're still here in North Carolina, still in the Southeast region.
Yeah.
So after being a classroom teacher for 9 years, secondary mathematics, then you made the transition to administration.
Yes.
So what prompted you to say, I want to pursue administration?
Well, I just saw different things happening in public schools. I knew that teachers needed support in terms of being able to educate children. And I saw that administration could provide that support for all teachers. You could touch in terms of have more of an impact on students, more students if you were in administration. And so I thought, why not? And so that's when I went back to school at UNCW, and when I graduated with my administration degree, I was offered a job in Brunswick County as an assistant principal. And I was fortunate because I was able to start, even though all my teaching experience was in high school, I ended up in an elementary school through a little bit of conflict, because I think originally they were going to put me in a high school, but the person who was in that position there wasn't a transition that happened quick enough. So I ended up in a high school, which was so fortunate for me. I worked with a principal, Faye Nelson, who was a fabulous educator, and learned so much about elementary education. And it has helped me to be able to truly understand the whole pre-K-12 perspective of education.
So then after being at elementary school, you also was at the high school level as an assistant principal, so spent 4 years as an assistant principal, and then you made the transition to the principalship. So talk about your time at North Brunswick High School, because I spoke to somebody who knows you, they were actually one of your students at North Brunswick, and described you as an amazing principal. So talk about that time in the principalship.
Well, I will say that when I first went to North, I was actually an assistant principal there for a short time before becoming the principal. And what I saw when I first arrived at North Brunswick was that there wasn't a lot of, the students and the staff weren't excited about their school. The culture was not where I wanted it to be. I want students and staff to be proud of where they go to school, where they work. And so that was the first thing that we really worked on, was culture, and trying to help students and staff see that they could be proud about where they went to school and where they worked.
That's right.
And so we spent the first year really focused on that. And then, you know, a part of it was I brought AVID into North Brunswick, which really focused on career and college readiness, preparing kids for their future, not just preparing them to be high school graduates, but truly what can they do after high school. But we spent a lot of time really building community and a culture in that school where we loved being there. We liked spending time with each other and just being a family at that school. And I think we changed the kind of the culture and the feeling about North Brunswick High School. And you know, people were proud to wear a shirt around saying they were from North Brunswick, and had a lot of success while we were there.
That's really exciting. And being the principal, you know, you have a lot of, your hands are involved in a lot of different things that happen at the school. So then you made a transition to central office leadership. Can you talk about the different approach to leadership when you leave high school as a principal, but then go to the central office? Because that is a shift that sometimes people don't really unpack and kind of think about.
Well, you know, when you're in a school, you know exactly what's happening throughout the building, for the most part. I mean, you can have your hands on something pretty quick to see what's really going on in that building. When you work at the district level, you don't necessarily have your hands in every single pocket, because you're not in those places. You're not able to see always what's happening in those buildings. So you have a lot more trust in people, because you're not with them every day. You know, as a school building administrator, truly you could be around your staff every day if you really want, and you really need to be. But as a district administrator, there's no way for me to be in every school every day. And so you really do have to trust your principals, your assistant principals, your leadership in those school buildings to do what's necessary and to communicate well with you as a district leader about what's happening in those buildings, to be able to determine the resources that are needed, the professional development that's needed, the supports that are needed, whether it's to involve parents, community, what really is needed at each individual school. You rely a lot on those building administrators.
And it is a partnership.
Absolutely.
Because you do have to build that trust and really have those relationships. So you had different experiences at the central office. So
Yes.
you focus on 612 instruction, testing and accountability, human resources. You were the chief academic officer, assistant superintendent. How did that really prep you for the superintendency, and when did the superintendency really become on your radar? Like, I really think I want to move even further in my career and take on that next leadership role.
Well, I really think that variety of experiences helped me to see a big picture in terms of a school district. It was, going into the human resources role, because I started when I went to the district office, I was really in instruction and curriculum, which is my love. And in 2009, when the recession occurred, we had to make several cuts at the district level, and the human resource person retired, and the superintendent said, well, we don't need you and Faye Nelson to be over curriculum and instruction. Faye's going to do that. You're going to do human resources. And I thought, oh, okay, all right. But it was a wonderful learning experience for me to see that the business side of the organization. The curriculum and instruction is important, but you can't do that without that business side, without the human resources for the personnel management. But also, the Human Resources Department works very closely with the Finance Department. And so understanding that budget and resource management also was key to that position. And so it really helped me to understand the facilities and maintenance, transportation, child nutrition, really to see a big picture of the district. And I think that's important as a district leader, especially in the superintendent's role. If you can see the connections between each of the different departments or divisions, it makes it so much easier, because when you make a decision at the district level, it impacts every single division. When I make a decision about curriculum and instruction, some people might think, oh, well, that's only impacting curriculum and instruction. But no, we make a decision about summer school, in curriculum and instruction, how we're going to do summer school. That impacts transportation, child nutrition, facilities, everybody else. And so you can't forget that, and you have to recognize how everything connects, and remember that everything does connect, and one relies on each other in that district level management.
And it really takes the superintendent to be able to show those connections, how all the puzzle pieces fit, having that strategic plan.
Yeah.
So when did you say, okay, I think I can be a superintendent? Like, and why was Columbus County Schools a desirable fit for you?
Well, I knew I wanted to stay in the Southeast. I mean, I have been here for a while, and I know people around here. I know the higher ed partners, know a lot of the other school district staff across this area, so that it was, because you can't do this just as a district sitting alone by yourself. You need your partner districts that are close by, and that you can call on and ask for help if you need some resources, or you just need to brainstorm with somebody. And so, I applied for a couple other superintendencies, and it just happened that this one was the one that they were willing to give me a chance. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the board, giving me that opportunity. And, it's hard sometimes to bring in somebody from the outside, but they did, and I think it turned out to be a good fit for me and a good fit for them at the time, that I was able to handle some things that occurred in the school district during my tenure.
Absolutely. And you have been in this district for 5 years, and when we return, we're going to talk about Dr. Meadows' tenure as superintendent of Columbus County Schools. We'll be right back. We are back on Tar Heel Teachers on the Road, speaking with Dr. Deanne Meadows, retiring superintendent of Columbus County Schools. So, Dr. Meadows, you've been the superintendent for 5 years. You started in 2019, and a lot to celebrate over the course of the 5 years that you've been with the district. When you arrived, the fund balance for the school system was depleted. Now we're looking at $2.5 million excess, where you're leaving the school system in a good financial place.
Yes.
You've also, during your tenure, 2 new schools have opened, West Columbus School, Tabor City School. You've developed great partnerships with Whiteville City Schools, the other school system in this county, the community college, Southeastern Community College, the Columbus County government, and numerous other partnerships and things. Talk about some of the successes from your vantage point, the points of pride when you think about your time here in Columbus County Schools.
Well, I really think those items that you mentioned, being able to provide new facilities for the students. When I first arrived, we had a lot of older buildings. We had a couple that were close to 100 years old, which is great that those historic buildings, existed. But unfortunately, they weren't able to be maintained and kept at a level that were a good learning environment for students. So being able to close and consolidate some of those schools that were starting to become a little run down and not really feasible for educating students, we were able to close those schools and build new schools, and we're getting ready to build another new school with a needs-based grant, and it
$52 million. That's another big success to celebrate.
Yeah, and so I'm excited that every part of the district, each area of the district, will have a new school within a short period of time. Because it really needed it. It needed some renovated and some newer buildings. We also have been able to, fortunately, one benefit of COVID was the additional funding that we received from that, and we're able to replace heating and air units across the district. We put in new safety measures in every one of our schools because the entranceways in some places allowed the public to come immediately into the building. This now, all of them have, for the most part, a way to separate the public before they come into the building where the children are. So that's been a great success, adding technology across the district. My first year here, within just the first few months, we had a ransomware attack in October, my first year, and it took the entire network down and encrypted everything on our network except, thank goodness, our payroll system, our finance system, and our student database. And so there was no data out there for the public to see that shouldn't be, but it took the entire network down. And so we had to rebuild the entire network.
Wow.
And when that happened, though, in order to put good security measures in so that it wouldn't happen again, the devices we had would not work on the new network. So fortunately, the commissioners gave us some money, $500,000 to purchase devices for students and staff to be able to get us moving along. And then that's when COVID happened. But we have now a replacement process for technology so that students can continue to have up-to-date technology.
Wonderful.
Our teachers do. All of our classrooms have interactive panels now. So I think that's a success that we've been able to do that. Curriculum, the curriculum had not really been updated in quite some time, and we now have up-to-date curriculum that we're replacing on a 5-year cycle or somewhere close to that, 5 to 6 years. We're just in the process of replacing the curriculum from the first time the first year, replacing the reading and math. And so just really trying to provide better resources for the students than what may have been. And part of that is because we were able to close some schools, we were not spending all of our money on facility costs. Having newer schools, hoping that that will help in terms of overall facility costs to reduce that so that we can have better resources for students, because that's really what it's about, is trying to provide better opportunities for students, more opportunities for students. giving them more counselors. Every school now has a counselor in it. We have enough nurses that we're pretty close to. Not every school has one, but there's less being shared across the district. Schools have art and their music and the CTE, and we're just been able to increase the number of opportunities for students. And I think that really is what it has been about for me, is trying to figure out how to get a budget in place that we're able to give kids those opportunities.
And as the visionary for the school system, you knew making those consolidations that on the other side you would have more opportunities, better resources for the students, just a better overall experience. But I know that whenever you went from 18 schools to 12, that was not easy.
No.
Especially in a tight-knit community like Columbus. I mean, a lot of pride in this community, a lot of pride in the schools. Even the school was 100 years old. People love that 100-year-old school.
That's right.
Year-old school. So how did you navigate that particular challenge of those tough decisions? Because I will tell you, not every superintendent or school district or school board will be willing to go down that road, because they just know how difficult it can be for the community.
Well, I think that the community, I try to be very transparent, and I think the more, we're in the business of education, and so educating the public about what was happening was important. And so we had public meetings where we shared where we are in terms of our financial situation, where the buildings were in terms of their upkeep and how they looked and how they were being, what they were able to provide as a learning environment for students. And so being honest and open and transparent about all of that information with the public, I think they understood that it was a necessity. And for the most part, we had approval across the district. We did have one area that was not happy, and that was the Guideway community. But I think I understand why. They had a very successful school. The school was performing very well. It was a close-knit community, and that was great for them. But we were spending more on that school than we were able to spend on other schools, and that's not equitable across the district. And we needed to be equitable. We needed to be able to provide all students that same experience that Guideway students were experiencing. So when we consolidated, I think for the most part, the Guideway community has been okay. I think they're proud of Old Dock, where many of their children now attend, or Nakina, or Tabor City. Having a new school in Tabor City and being able to attend there, I think they, I don't hear any concerns today, but I think it just was, you have to be honest and transparent with the community about what's happening in order for them to be able to truly understand. You can't just say, we're going to close and consolidate these schools because we need to, without telling them what and why you need to.
So true. That transparency goes a long way, so the individuals know that you do have the school system's best interest, and that you're going to be a great partner. So I know they really, really appreciate that. How do you think the new schools, how do you think that is impacting the perception of Columbus County schools? Because we know that ADM is very important, and we want students who are school age in this community to attend our public schools. And so how do you think the new schools, how that's impacting the perception of this school system?
Well, I think it has helped a lot, and we have had students return from charter school, from private school into our schools. Our ADM for 20 plus years was declining. In the last 2 years, it has increased, and so I believe that I think just the overall perception of the school district is positive, and that people are seeing that good things are happening. We care about the children's education, not that they didn't before, but I think we're more public about it, more transparent in terms of how we talk about their education, providing more opportunities for them. And so I think parents are feeling more comfortable in terms of sending their children to public schools. And we need them to do that, because ultimately it may be okay for your one child to leave, but when you do that, that is funding, and there is a minimum amount that's needed to run a school. And you can't do that if the population continues to decline. And that's overall population and the population in the actual individual school buildings. We need people to continue to come to Columbus County. We need business and industry to come to Columbus County, workers, people that will pay taxes to come to Columbus County, so that we can continue to increase the number of opportunities for children. And the only way you can move children out of poverty or give children a better life is to provide them more opportunities and an education. And that is what we're trying to do here in Columbus County, and that's what I expect will continue to happen for the children here.
Absolutely, and so exciting to see the way that you all have really rallied together to be able to increase those opportunities.
Yes.
One of the other priorities for the school system, you all hired a diversity, equity, inclusion, and opportunity coordinator. You have in your strategic plan that you want to increase teachers that are representative of the student population. Why is that continuing to be a priority for Columbus County schools?
Well, we need adults in front of children that look like them. And if we don't increase the number of African American, Hispanic, Native American, because all of those are very, we have a good number of students in those different ethnic groups. We need that same percentage of teachers or adults in front of those children, seeing that they can do those same things. So we have really tried to work through our diversity, equity, inclusion, and opportunity coordinator, tried to work on growing our own. We started a teacher cadet program. We really have ramped up the TA to teacher program. So, we had a lot of African American employees as teacher assistants, but they weren't going on and getting a degree to become a teacher. So we've encouraged them to go back to school, get a degree in teaching so that you can be a teacher and be in front of students. We have, that right there has been a big impact in terms of trying to help increase the numbers. We have 19, I think it is this year, that are in that program. We also added future teacher scholarships, where we're paying for some of our own students to go on and be teachers. We are partnering with the community college and UNC Pembroke and Fayetteville State about having the students who are in our teacher cadet program, they go to school, they take college classes through Southeastern, and then we will help pay for them to go to UNC Pembroke and Fayetteville State to become teachers. We're working right now on an apprenticeship program where, while they're a teacher assistant, so they graduate from high school, out of teacher cadet, have some college classes, they get hired as a teacher assistant with us. They then are an apprentice to then become a teacher as they continue to go to school. So their schooling is paid for while they're still paid to work for us as a teacher assistant, and then going to school to become a teacher. So just trying to find ways to keep people here in Columbus County, but also grow the number of teachers, because we know there's a shortage of teachers across the state, everywhere, but truly in terms of our minority populations not having enough teachers in those areas.
And commend you and the school board for being able to make that a priority, and all the other individuals in the school system, because you have to be intentional, and having it in your strategic plan means that's something that we are going to address, and something that we are going to really try to make some movement with that, setting goals for that. So I really commend that. What are some other priority areas from the strategic plan that really make you most proud of, like we're making improvements in these areas?
Well, I think our parent and community engagement, we have really focused on trying to be, as I said before, transparent and open. We want parents and community to engage with us. And every year we have tried something a little different. So a couple of years ago, for 2 years, we did town halls where we would, the public would come in and we'd just answer questions, whatever they asked. Just trying to be open and honest. We don't have anything to hide.
That's right.
We're here to share what's happening in our school district. This last year we did community cafes where we had parents and community members come in, and we had opportunities for them to collaborate at their tables and then share out what they thought needed to improve in the school district. We have increased the different ways that we communicate with the community and with parents. So I think that really has been a goal, and we've done a pretty good job of trying to really engage our community. We started student advisory, teacher advisory, and district parent advisory, where we meet monthly with those groups so that they have a voice. And it's been fun for me to meet with the student advisory, the teacher advisory, and the parent advisory, just to hear from them about what's happening and what we need in the school system to make it better. And to just answer their questions, because again, we want the information out there. We're not trying to hide anything. I want them to know what's happening, and if there are concerns in the district, I need to know so that I can address those and try to fix it. And that's what those advisory councils have been about, getting input from the community and from the students and teachers.
And another way that you all get input is the Student Learning Condition Survey as well.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Well, we really wanted to see how students felt about their experiences in school. And so we have, for the last 3 years, offered from 4th through 12th grade, offered an opportunity for students to respond to us. And we've had a pretty good response rate in terms of the number of students saying how school is going. And it's been, there are some areas that we're really good, and there are areas that we need to work on. And we have each year taken the response from those student learning condition surveys to determine what to do. At first, when we first did it, they were saying, well, we don't ever get to use technology. And then the last time it was like, all we do is technology. So we need to find a balance in terms of how to use technology in the classroom. And so, but they tell us what it's like to sit in the classroom as a student, and that helps us to figure out what we need to do to make adjustments.
Well, awesome. Now, I know that you're a visionary, so you have a lot of ideas. So what are some of those unfulfilled dreams that you have for Columbus County Schools? That, you did a lot in the 5 years and you had a lot that you had to face, but if you were going to be here for another 5 years, what is something like, we would definitely have to do this if I was going to continue with the district? Well,
I really think in terms of the connection that we make with our, we have great CTE programs, but I think we need to do a better job of looking at the market and labor statistics and really deciding what CTE and workforce programs we offer in partnership with the community college, giving more opportunities for kids to really see where they're going to go. I know that the state, they have put in place for the students to complete a career development plan. I think it's called a career development plan, success development plan. But so we've started that process, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be. And really trying to help kids identify what they want to do in the future, and really see how school can help them to get there. Really increasing the number of internships and apprenticeships that we have kids participate in. We've just started that in a partnership with Whiteville and the community college. We have, the county gave us money to start with $150,000, and then we were able to get a Golden Leaf grant. We've hired a director, but it's just not, it's not where it needs to be yet, and we need to have students out there experiencing the workforce while they're in school so they can decide, is this really what I want to do, or do I want to do something different? And so trying to I just want to give kids opportunities, and the more we can do that, the better we are.
Where does that come from for you, Dr. Meadows, personally, in terms of just that push for the closing the opportunity gap and making sure you have those equitable experiences? Where is that coming from for you personally?
I was a fortunate child. I had two parents who were very caring and wanted me to learn, wanted me to have a really good education, and they all the time said, you can do whatever you want to do, be whatever you want to be. And every step of the way, when I would reach a goal, my dad would say, all right, what's next? What's next? But it was always, there was never a question that I could do whatever I wanted. And I don't see that for every child. And that's why I went into education, because I wish every child had my experience as a growing up, but they don't. And so I believe schools should provide that for every child and give them the chance to be whatever they want. That is my professional goal. I have a picture of my professional vision that is in my mind all the time. I actually have it drawn out, that every student has a choice when they graduate to pick the military, a job, community college, four-year university, whatever they want to do. But every one of those doors is still a chance for them when they graduate from high school. And none of the doors are closed before they get to that place. And they have the skills and the knowledge, the experiences to be able to truly make a choice between one of those doors when they get there. And I want every kid to have that opportunity. I don't want those decisions to be made before they get to that place, whether it's because of their family's financial situation or the experience that their family may have had, whether they went to college or didn't go to college, or the military, whatever it is. I want them to have a choice when they get to that place, and every single door is open for them.
Because that's what all students deserve. What has the superintendency taught you about yourself?
Probably that I am stronger than maybe I thought I was. I think, I can make good decisions, and I can explain my decisions, and I think it just that I have more potential than maybe I realized for myself, but I don't know. That's a tough question, but I do think that I feel like I have been able to accomplish more than I probably would have imagined I would have been able to do.
You should be so proud. What are you going to miss most about being the superintendent of Columbus County Schools?
Just seeing kids on a regular basis. I love to be in the schools and, meeting with my student advisory council and just experiencing students, but also the staff here. They're really great people, hardworking, and they want what's best for children. And so I'm going to miss being around all of them.
And last question, I want you to finish this statement. As superintendent of Columbus County Schools, Dr. Deanne Meadows was
always committed to what was best for kids.
And we thank you for your commitment.
Thank you.
We appreciate your service here in Columbus County Schools. I'm speaking for the people of Columbus County Schools, so the work is evident, the facts are there. You've done great work,
Thank
but
you.
also the work that you've done here in our state for 34 years. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate leaders like you showing us the way, so thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank our audience so very much for watching this special episode of Tar Heel Teachers on the Road. We'll see you soon.